Hi guys, it's Grace from Grace Gets Gastric, and I am here today for my Q&A video. You guys all asked a lot of wonderful questions for my 3-month post-op giveaway, and so I am here today to answer all of those questions. I think I might end up splitting this into 2 videos because I got quite a lot of questions. I'm dividing them into 6 categories, so I have non-weight loss surgery related, pre-op, post-op life, relationships, non-surgery, NSVs, and fitness and food. So I still haven't decided yet how I'm going to divvy them up. I think it's going to depend on how long they all are, but I am excited to answer all of them, and so I hope that you guys enjoy. All right, non-weight loss surgery related questions. So the first one was, how often does someone compliment me on my eyes? Oh, that's so sweet. I do get compliments on my eyes a decent amount. Thank you. Where do you get all of your fab lip colors? I get them from everywhere. I'm actually at my vanity, so I'll show you. This is just a small sampling of like my lipsticks and lip glosses, and that's definitely not everything. MAC is probably the main place that I get my lip stuff from. I'm wearing MAC right now, and yeah, I'd say that that's like my favorite lip brand, but I really have all kinds of different ones. I have a subscription service to Ipsy, and they send me like new things each month, so I actually have a lot of things that I really like from there as well. That's the lip gloss that I'm wearing actually. What's my favorite lipstick? So related, I don't really have a favorite. I really like wearing a variety of different ones. I'm sure you guys have noticed in my videos, there are always different fun lips going on. So can't pick a favorite. What do I use to make my eyebrows so beautiful? Oh, thank you. So the primary thing I use is this Anastasia Brow Wiz in either medium brown or dark brown. I kind of go back and forth and use a combination. So that's the main thing I use to fill in my brows. I also have a Anastasia brunette / dark brown powder duo that I occasionally use. So this is more if I'm doing something more intense, and I don't know if I've done that in any of my videos. And then it's all faded, but this is like a clear brow gel also from Anastasia. And then on occasion when I use the powder, again, that's not very rare or not very common, but when I do, I use the MAC 208 little brow brush. I feel like I'm doing like a makeup video, but I think those are all the makeup ones actually. How is my electrolysis going? Is it working any less painful? So I totally was confused by what you meant by electrolysis, but laser hair removal, that's what it's actually called. I felt kind of like an idiot when I didn't realize that. It's going well. I've got my next appointment next week, so that'll be my second actual appointment, so I'll probably provide an update in one of my videos on how that's going. So far it does seem like the hair is growing back a little bit less thick than normal, and again, I don't know if that's just like placebo effect, but it does seem to be the case. So far I'm excited about it. How old am I? How tall am I? So this is probably from someone who doesn't watch my videos, because I mention that in every single one of them, and it's also in my bio and in the description of all of my videos and my bio on Instagram. But I'll go ahead and say it again. I am 5'8" and 27 years old. I talk a lot about Lent. Am I Catholic? I am Catholic. I grew up Catholic, not super devout. We're kind of like the twice-a-year Catholics. We used to go a lot more when I was younger. I am not particularly religious personally. I think of myself as more of a spiritual person. And I'm not a huge fan of organized religion, and I'm not really going to get into that in my channel, but I do participate in Lent. It's one of the things that I do, and I really enjoy it. I like kind of what it stands for, and I think it's just a good practice. So I do Lent. I just finished with Lent, and actually I think this is like the best I've ever been as an adult. So let's see, what do I do for a living? Do I have any college degrees? What are my long-term career goals? I do have college degrees. I have a bachelor's in marketing with a certificate in international business, as well as a degree in Spanish. So I have a double degree so Spanish language. I work as a change manager slash, I also do a lot of business analyst work. I kind of am a jack of all trades in my current position for technology implementation. Long term, I'd like to get into working within corporate social responsibility and sustainability. It's harder to break into that field in kind of the lower levels, so I'm sort of trying to climb up side of it before transferring over. What app or program do I use to edit my videos? I use Wondershare Filmora. And someone asked if it's easy to use. I think it's pretty easy to use. It's pretty straightforward. I think I paid like $50 for a year subscription. And I purposely did that, one, because I was too lazy to try to find a free app. And two, because I knew if I paid, it would give me an extra incentive to actually make these videos. And it was something that I knew I really wanted to do that I thought would help me stay on track. So, yeah, I really like it. Have I always lived in Seattle? No, I've always lived in Washington State, but I grew up in a small town about an hour and a half north of Seattle. That's where I grew up. And I moved to Seattle for college, and then I've been here ever since. So I've been here for a while now, but I did grow up a little bit north in a very small town. So what is my favorite and least favorite thing about living where I do? So I really love Seattle. I love that it is kind of the best of both worlds. You get a city, you very much get that kind of metropolitan feel and those amenities, but it's also really close to a lot of nature. It's not quite as gigantic as places like Los Angeles or New York. And I really like the people and kind of the mindset here and the kinds of things that the city generally cares about. I will say that it is super expensive here. I don't like how much housing costs. If I wanted to buy a house or buy somewhere to live, I mean, it's really just impossible to afford that in the city for something that's decently sized. And if I don't want to just like pay an exorbitant amount. So just the cost of living in Seattle is kind of rough. What is your ultimate number one on your bucket list? So that's just such a hard question because there are so many things that I want to do. It's probably really travel related. I mean, honestly, I'd love to visit every continent. That's probably high up there. But I mean, that's just such a hard one. I don't know that there's like just one item that I really want to do. And then this one was really hard. This is a good question, but it's really hard. What TV show do you wish you could live in, and what character would be your best friend? I don't watch very many TV shows anymore. I used to watch a lot as a kid and even in college, etc. But I'm a big reader, so like books are definitely my preferred way of entertainment. So this one's a little bit hard too, because it also doesn't stipulate, like if I'm going to be in this TV show, am I going to have superpowers, etc. So anyways, this was a really hard question, but I'm just going to go with what my first thought was, which was kind of weird. But it was Smallville, which I was obsessed with in high school. And, Tom Welling, so dreamy. And I'd say probably my best friend would be Chloe Sullivan. But I would definitely want to be, no, I don't think I'd want to have powers because everyone who had powers was fucked up. So, all right. I think that's all the non-weight loss surgery related ones. Okay, so PreOp questions. When did you realize that weight loss surgery was the best option for you? So I really started considering weight loss surgery as an option for myself in March of 2017. And I don't even really know. I know why, the why of it, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but I don't know why my mind thought of weight loss surgery when that had never really been something on my mind before. Something else must have triggered that, but suddenly I started looking into it and just was like, this is for me. What is your biggest why? So my biggest why, I guess, why I'm doing this is for myself. I have my biggest why. felt like I was finally in a place where I was emotionally and mentally, physically ready to take my life back, to lose weight. I'm happy and satisfied in other areas of my life. I feel like I am a very good place emotionally. And I realized that there were things I wanted to do and that my weight was holding me back from being able to do them, and that it did not have to be something that I just had to deal with for the rest of my life, that there was a way out or a way for me to deal with it. What made you pick VSG over the other types of weight loss surgery? I was really torn between the RNY, the gastric bypass, and the VSG. I knew that I was going to do I knew I didn't want the lap band, low success rates, didn't really want a foreign body. I didn't really want to do the duodenal switch, the DS, just because it was a little bit more extreme than I felt like I needed at this point. I'm pretty young as well. And so I was really going back and forth between the VSG and the gastric bypass. I was immediately drawn to the VSG because I liked that it did not mess around with my intestines. I would have done that if that was the best option for me, but I would have preferred, it's just messing around with less things. The malabsorptive is on the one hand really great. On the other hand, it just made me nervous for the future. Again, I'm still pretty young. I don't know what the future has in store for me health-wise. And there are obviously ways to work around malabsorption, but it just was a little bit higher risk in terms of the actual surgery itself, not by a lot, but by a little bit. And then just down the line, there were greater chance of certain kinds of complications. I was really going back and forth. My main thing was that I was concerned about the GERD, the potential for GERD after the VSG. I'd had very small instances of like heartburn, acid reflux, very isolated incidents, and I just wasn't sure if it was going to be an issue, but I had my endoscopy, and my surgeon said that I had a pristine esophagus, and then when I talked with him, he agreed that given my age and my health risks, etc., that he thought that the best choice for me would be VSG, and he said, if he was advising his daughter, he would tell her to get the VSG in this instance. So that's what I wanted. That's what he said was the best choice, so that's why I went with the VSG. So far, I'm happy with it, and if I had to revise in the future, if I do get acid reflux, etc., then I'm prepared to deal with that. What is one thing you think everyone should know about weight loss surgery? This is a hard one because I don't think there's just one thing you should know. I think you should know all of the things, do all of the research, really, really, really spend a lot of time looking into this. It's hard to pick one thing, I guess, but if I were to pick one thing, I would say that it really does take longer to drop the weight than you think it will. And even when you know, like intellectually, like I'm not going to wake up and be 40 pounds lighter, it's still just, I'm saying this because I watch a lot of people's videos, I follow a lot of people on Instagram, and consistently people are always disappointed with the slow weeks, and I get it because I feel that way too, but it's going to take a while for the weight to come off. You got this major surgery, so you think, I got this major surgery so I could drop the weight like that. It's not going to happen like that. It's going to be faster than if you try to do it without the surgery. It's going to be easier to help keep it off than if you didn't have the surgery, but it is going to take some time. It's not linear. You're still going to have stalls and plateaus. You're going to have weeks when you might gain or what have you, but you just need to stick with the plan, and don't, I know it's so much easier said than done, but try not to get too much in your head about feeling like you fucked up or failed or whatever. So how long did it take you to get approved for weight loss surgery? My insurance required a 6-month medically supervised weight loss diet. So I went to the seminar in April due to some personal scheduling conflicts, travel, etc., and some staffing issues at the place that I went to. I didn't start my PreOp diet until June. So then it took 6 months from June. My final approval was December 1st, and they sent in the paperwork, like that was a Friday, they sent in the paperwork on a Monday, and I think it took about a week and a half, maybe a little bit less. I think it was a little bit less, but it took my clinic about a week and a half to call me back. before they were approved. So it went really fast. And then it took me a week and a half to get approved for my surgery. And then they called and said, hey, we have an opening 2 weeks from today if you want your surgery then. They had a couple of different ones later on, but I was like, I'll take the soonest one. 2 weeks from today, I started and then that gave me 2 weeks to start the PreOp diet, like as soon as I got that call. So yeah, exciting. What should I be doing in this time? What do you wish you had done differently in the 6 weeks leading up to surgery? I don't know that I wish I would have done anything differently. It really did come by, it went by really fast, and I happened to have to do my 2-week pre-op over Christmas and New Year's. So all of my friends were in town visiting, got a lot of dinners with people where I ate nothing, or steak or something, chicken, but because I had I didn't have a liquid pre-op. But I would just say that start thinking about what you want to, figure out what your plan is eating post-op. Make sure that you have everything that you need already prepared. You're probably gonna be able to go out and get stuff, but it's good to have things on hand. I had a bunch of protein samples, powder samples that I went through like my first week, figuring out like the one I liked the best. My taste didn't change significantly from pre-op to post-op, but some people do, so they really recommend not getting a big tub. Personally, I wish I would have gotten a big tub of the one I knew I already liked, just because it took a while to ship to me, but everyone's different. But like getting little utensils and little containers, etc. If you have a family, prepping meals for them, freezing them. Some people don't mind cooking right after surgery. You might be too tired though. Mine had me on no household duties until 4 weeks, and then I could be light. I was ready to be on things like cooking, etc. before then, but you can also milk that if you want to. I was wondering, should I eat my favorite foods before surgery or continue practicing healthy food choices? I feel like maybe that I have an opinion on this that is different from the generally accepted wisdom. For me, I am appreciative of the fact that I did eat my favorite foods before surgery. So I basically, from December 1st until I started my pre-op diet, so for like 2 weeks, I kind of let myself eat what I wanted, and I didn't go crazy overboard, but I had more donuts in that 2-week period than I had in like the 6 months prior. I had a lot of pad see ew from Thai. I was like going through a crazy obsession. I was really obsessed with onion rings. Like there were just some weird things that I was like craving, and I ate them, and I have no regrets about it, and I'm happy I did it. And every person's going to be different. It's all going to depends on what your mental state is going to be. I'd lost 30 pounds-ish up to that point. I'd been following a pre-op diet for the 6 months prior, decently well. I had days where I, went off, but I knew that once I got this surgery that I was probably going to be able to eat most of my foods that I wanted to eat again. So I wasn't necessarily concerned that this is the last time I'll ever be able to have this amazing cookie from Met Market. Sidebar, if you're ever in Seattle, do yourself a favor and get a chocolate chip cookie from Metropolitan Market. You're welcome. Or maybe I'm sorry because it's so good and we shouldn't be eating them, but they're so good. Anyways, back to the point. I know that I'm going to be able to have a cookie again, but my intention is to not have a cookie again for a while. While I'm kind of in the losing phase, I want to really focus on making the best possible food choices and really trying to avoid the bad foods that I ate beforehand that kind of got me into the situation. And there are certain things like, for example, used to be obsessed with acai bowls, and they're delicious, and they're very high carb, but it's all from fruit and natural sugars. I'm trying to avoid eating something that is entirely carb for a while, But I'm not totally ruling out the idea that I'm going to be able to have an acai bowl again in the future. But it's going to be a long time from now. So I appreciated eating some of the foods that I knew that I liked, that I was trying to say goodbye to for now. I don't know if that really answers your questions. In my opinion, I'd say go for it, but don't go totally crazy, and be prepared to accept the consequences. You're going to be losing weight. You know, you might gain weight. You're going to stall your weight, etc. I was fine with it, and I appreciated that I had done that. Do you have any do's or don'ts for the days before surgery? I'd say do follow your surgeon's guidelines to the letter. They're there to help keep you safe and make sure that the surgery is successful. So whatever your surgeon's guidelines are in regards to PreOp diet, etc., make sure that you just follow those exactly. Don't overpack for surgery. I think that's the next question, but you're going to be recovering from a major surgery. I don't know. Just try not to freak out too much. What is something you wish you took with you when you had your surgery? There is nothing that I wish I had taken that I did not take with me. I definitely overpacked. I'd never had surgery before, at least nothing this major, and it was, I was pretty fucked up afterwards. I was in no state to do anything. I could barely even, listening to music was too much energy for me. So, I would say the thing that you absolutely need is chapstick. I would also say bring a long phone cord or a phone cord with an extension so that you can plug your phone in. Luckily, by accident, I brought my one that's 6 feet, which worked out nicely so I could have my phone next to me and charging. I bring a pillow for the ride home so you can place it between the seatbelt and your stomach, which might be sensitive. I just wore really comfy clothing to surgery, so I just slipped right back on that. Stuff without elastic. My incision was right, it's one of my incisions, you can't see, it's right at my bra band line. So you might want to bring a sports bra that doesn't have underwire, that's a little bit flexible if you're a woman, because or you can just ask them where they're going to have incisions. Not everyone has incisions up that high. What else did I bring that I used? Slip-on shoes for the thing home. Yeah, I mean, I guess that you really don't need as much as you think you will. Oh, headphones in case you have to share your room with someone and you want to listen to music or whatever. What is the best piece of advice I received for my recovery? I really liked, so my surgeon had recommended drinking 2 ounces of protein shake every hour and 2 to 6 ounces of water every hour for that you're awake. So essentially drinking 8 ounces of liquid every hour you're awake, 2 ounces of protein shake, at least 6 ounces of water. And that's, for the first 2 weeks to help get you in, to make sure that you're properly hydrating and that you are getting in the protein that you needed. That was really helpful for the first few days. I got those really tiny little 2-ounce cups, and I would just fill them up and then take them, every hour I'd get 1 of the protein shake, 3 or 4 of the waters, and I would just drink those throughout the hour. It was really nice because I could visually see how well I was doing, and keeping it in the small little containers helped for some reason and made it seem a little bit more manageable, and it was easier. I had no issues getting liquids down after surgery. I know a lot of people struggle with that, and dehydration is it's a very real issue and the number one reason for rehospitalization after surgery. So you want to take your water intake seriously, and so I would say that was a really good way to maintain that or to hit that. What is one piece of advice you would give your pre-op self if you had the chance? I don't know that there's anything that I would tell myself that I didn't already know. I mean, I think that I'm really happy with how I went about doing things personally. I think that I feel like I was really prepared. So I would just say in general, make sure that you really do a lot of research. I recommend watching people's YouTube videos, reading people's blogs. I bookmarked a ton of recipes to try in the future. Get involved sooner in the community. That's what I would say. I lurked for like 8 months, and I started in Instagram, but like I didn't post a ton, and I didn't really interact a lot with a lot of other people, just a little bit, but not as much as I am doing now. And I didn't make videos until a week before my surgery on YouTube. And so I'd say if I could do it again, I would start a little bit earlier and start building up that community and that sense of connection earlier on in the process. Who is my biggest inspiration pre or post op? That's a good one. So I'll just go with people who I really watched or read and who really inspired me in the community. So I started off really just reading blogs, etc. So I really liked The World According to Eggface. She's fantastic. I went through like all 15 years of her archives, so I was a little obsessed. And then I really liked The Waning Woman. She has a blog, and she's just so funny, just so funny. And there weren't a lot of blogs that I found that had to deal with the VSG. Most of the people, because blogging was sort of like an older school way of doing things, most people had R and Y. So I really appreciated that she had the VSG. And then on YouTube, I really loved Drea VSG, Chemistry Queenie, Foodie Turn Sleevey, Watch Kitties Shrink. There are definitely a few others, but those are like the ones that I that really stuck out in my mind, and that I kind of like binge watched all through pre-op. I remember I would do my makeup in the morning here at this vanity, and I would have I'd pull up one of their weekly updates and like kind of just every day would watch another one of their videos. Actually, I'd watch a lot of their videos. But I really liked people who did weekly updates just because I just wanted to know everything I could about the surgery. So yes, I recommend all of them, and actually I think all of them are still making videos. Some of them more frequently than others, but I'll try to remember to link them below. How did you decide on your goal weight? I feel like this goal weight thing is still a little bit nebulous for me, and I've mentioned that in my goals video, linked above. So technically my ultimate stretch goal weight is 164, which is the highest weight in the normal BMI range for my height. So that's how I decided that. I get a lot of people saying, when I say like I'm not sure if that's really my goal, a lot of people's really like, oh, you can get there, you can do it. I'm not saying I don't know that 164 is my ultimate goal, because I don't know that I can do that or get there. I have every confidence in my ability to do whatever the hell I want. When I say I don't know that I really want 164 to be if that's really going to be my goal, I'm saying that because I have never been small or normal, whatever. Like, this is like the smallest I've been since high school. And I have no concept about like literally what I will look like when I get to 164. And I do have a larger frame, and a lot of people seem to think like that's just like a thing that fat people say. No, but like my doctors have legitimately told me this. They've told me that my bone density is more dense than an average person. I know I'm going to have a lot of skin. So I'm just saying I don't necessarily want to 100% commit myself to 164 as my goal weight, because I don't know that that's really a realistic or happy place for my body to rest. And I don't want to do that mental fuck thing, because I've seen so many people do this where they set their heart on a specific number, and then it's like everything rides on that number regardless of like the other positive things happening with your body or your weight or your life, etc. So sorry, a little bit of a tangent. I've seen a lot of people who are my height that seem to be very happy in the 170 to 185-ish kind of range. And like they look healthy and happy and strong there. So that's sort of mentally where I'm thinking I want to be. But again, I'm going to reevaluate as I start getting closer to that goal. And 164 for now is sort of the like number that I'm saying, but we'll see. All right, I think that's all for the pre-op questions. Okay, so I think I'm going to cut off my first video here. So just talking about the non-weight loss surgery related things and then pre-op, and I will come back at you guys tomorrow with the rest of the questions. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.